Today is part 2 on the importance of one-on-one meetings, and we have a special guest, Owen Leamon. Owen's a business owner who is new to one-on-one meetings and its importance. We're going to get some insight for him. You're going to be interested in this conversation. Don't go anywhere. Gentlemen, good morning. So last episode, we have talked a lot about the importance of one-on-one meetings, some of the resistance you might have from individuals, and also how important it is that you have these meetings. Today, we continue the conversation. There's an AI slant to this. We talk about the 5 different generations that are in companies today, which can shape how a one-on-one meeting is approached. So let's get the conversation started. Craig, with Renaissance Executive Forums, REF, and your leadership in that group, I attended a session you did on the 5 generations that exist in companies today. Let's talk a little bit about how that impacts or influences your approach to one-on-one meetings.
Doing all the research on the 5 generations in the workforce, it hit me that you really have to tweak how you communicate and what you communicate and the methods, right? I mean, this is the first time we have 5 generations in the workforce, and whether it's email, text, chatting, Teams calls, whatever, it's different. Not that you have to change your whole business model, but some people don't even, the younger generation, they don't even go to email on a normal basis. They assume text and chat is like their primary reach out. So, again, the importance of one-on-one is keeping the connection, making sure things aren't going off track, and the rhythm of a one-on-one. It brings structure and calm, just like having lists. So I think, we got to keep the importance of one-on-one, but now AI and 5 generations we're dealing with, right? I mean, so AI helps us get insights into historical work they've done.
So I hear 3 different points in your comment, Craig. We have the 5 generations that exist in workforce. You mentioned AI, and then about the importance of people's time. And I get a sense, so when I think about what Lean did to businesses and mindsets, I see that pairing up with AI to help prep and provide information to have a more effective one-on-one meeting. But Tom, why don't you elaborate on that? Because you talked about this before too, the impact of Lean and how AI can help augment that.
Previously, and I think anybody who's engaged with VCIO Global certainly understands that we're big believers in defining our processes and then value streaming our processes. And you took a clip right out of Satya Nadella's keynote at Microsoft Ignite last week, and he said almost verbatim what you said. If you think about Lean and what Lean did in manufacturing and operations, warehousing, well, AI and agents are going to drive the importance of that same Lean process for information workers. And, some people glaze over, you say information workers, and they go, well, I'm not in IT. We're talking about accounting. We're talking about marketing. We're talking about anybody who's in the office or potentially even some field sellers. And so now, how do we first align our process with their role? And then in our one-on-ones, what do we do to better coach them with the information and insights, right? We've always had information. We get ready for a one-on-one. You've got a quick scorecard that you run with somebody to do your check-in. But the insights that we could glean from improved information that is presented to us via AI and some of these agents, the large language model, the ability to say, hey, I'm meeting with Tony, show me his sales for the last 30, 60, 90, show me his gaining products, show me his lagging products, show me maybe products that we're selling that are dipping so that we can investigate why. Those are all quick and easy things. You just type in the words and the system presents the information.
I love that. How many times you come prepped for a meeting and you have 5 things on the list? How often is the meeting only centered on the 5 things on the list, especially on a one-on-one, because one-on-one, you want some personal element to it. It's not meant to be robotic. I mean, you got to get shit done. I mean, there's stuff to talk about business-wise, but we also want to know the health of the person. How are they doing? I mean, and it's cool that I liked your example on the AI, being able to get insights on where the conversation goes. Now, that's outside of the personal element I just said, but when we're talking about strategy or just anything in the moment, to have that information at your fingertips. I wish they did this in political debates, not to get political on anybody here, but fact checking in the moment. Oh my God, can you imagine how that would go? But anyway.
As we were talking through this, and we're going to hear from Owen in just a few moments, but as the senior executive, when you say, okay, we're going to have one-on-ones, well, some people appreciate that. And frankly, I think most people appreciate it once they get the rhythm, because people want an opportunity to speak with their direct supervisor, whoever that is. And they want to know if they're doing well. Or if they're not doing well, how do they fix it? Real professionals want to know that. As a leader, though, the idea that I can minimize or mitigate the interruptions, Craig alluded to this. I need to check in with each one of my team members at some point. By putting a one-on-one structure around that, now I don't have to worry about what I'm doing with Craig on Monday, because I'm not seeing Craig till Wednesday. And I know we got a half hour and we're going to cover whatever we need to. So I can focus on whatever my higher priorities are now, because I know Craig and fill in the blank other people are covered.
As I hear you guys talking, when we did our original one-on-one before like AI really took off, it was about keeping priorities, keeping alignment, encouragement, and just keeping things efficient. But now with the AI, we think about bots, and the new goal with AI is to get people to their highest capacity. And this is the CFO all the way down to the lowest knowledge worker, right? So I think the one-on-ones thinking through this are going to take a new twist on what are the mundane tasks that you're doing that we're going to put agents in or bots in, or we're going to automate. And there's going to be an insecurity of them losing their job because they're automating it, right? So this is
all the more important for the one-on-one.
This is going to be big, because you have to deliver 2 messages, right? Get rid of the mundane task, but tool up, get you in your highest capacity. What have you been wanting to do that you can't do? Looking for anomalies in financials, looking for anomalies in sales, look at whatever the role is. It's a 2-part now. I mean, because it's everybody's saying it. Satcha down to everybody. Get rid of the mundane tasks. That's what AI is going to do. But that insecurity layer is going to be really, really important to drive right into weekly, and put a new career map together for them with new expectations, because they can do more. They can learn more. We could ask Copilot to put a 10-week curriculum for them to learn a new skill set in their role.
Well, and if you're in a growing company, that's an easy story, right? If you're in a little bit more challenged company, that you're going to have to talk through that. But one way or the other, AI is going to drive out inefficiency, which at the end of the day is going to help you be a better supplier to whoever your customer might be.
That's right. And Microsoft threw the gauntlet down. You're not going to put that toothpaste back in the tube. AI is here to stay. Most businesses are on the Microsoft tech stack, so you embrace it. I mean, you almost have no choice. And so that fear of job loss, that fear of automating yourself out of a job, that should be part of everybody's one-on-ones. And if you haven't embraced the concept of one-on-ones, now's the time to think about this, because anybody who has a job that involves some level of task has to be thinking about the AI impact. And it's just human nature that there's a sense of fear in protecting your domain. Am I going to be automated out of a job?
you're back to Maslow, right? So what right? Most people are working because they're trying to make a place to live, food on the table, take care of their family, right? Fundamental fears. And so the next book is Who Moved My Cheese?
Mm-hmm.
Look, folks, the cheese moved.
Yeah.
Cheese is gone. The cheese is gone.
If you have 5 people in a department and you know, as a supervisor and owner, you know that automation puts some of these at risk, and now you have 5 one-on-ones. What's the approach? If you know 3 are going to remain, how you go about this? People are thinking about it.
We ran into this when we started doing VCIO back when we adopted, I don't know, 5 years ago. It was cloud first, right? I mean, IT guys did not want to get rid of servers. And, it was just that insecurity of what am I going to do after my servers are in the cloud? This is the same thing with mundane tasks, right?
It's having that reality conversation about how this technology, like we're not here to talk about fears. I mean, we want to help address them and institute some calm. It's really an opportunity-based discussion. How are you going to embrace this? I like what you said earlier, Craig, about focusing on what's mundane, what drives you crazy, or what would you like to do or see as opportunities that you just haven't had time to get to. I think there's where you start to bear a lot of fruit. So let's bring this back now to the 5 generations in the workforce and how we approach the one-on-ones with them, knowing this new reality of automation. Like you mentioned about the reverse time study, Craig, what's taking you the most amount of time? Well, maybe for 2 of the generations, it starts with a conversation about, and maybe it's all, that's why I want to bat this around the group here, about what they just haven't had time to get to. And it's the conversation centered around, okay, how can we free up time? Because what crept in my head with leading with how we can automate mundane, the human flaw mindset is, I'm being automated out of a job now, versus being able to free up time to get to the exciting things that just stay in my head or live on a list that we haven't been able to get to yet.
We'll take it all the way through multi-generational, right? So let's just say that at the top end, we've got some 80-year-old folks in our leadership, or at least on our board, right? And as we communicate with them, I think you relate it to copy machines. That used to be a big deal. Not everybody had a copy machine. You had somebody who had paper. We typed, right? Word processors. They remember this stuff. These were seismic shifts in your workforce. I don't need people to type stuff up anymore. Everybody just types their own things.
Remember that purple cylinder thing?
That's what I'm getting at.
Copier,
Right?
had that smell.
The mimeograph, right? But so for the older people, no, I'm not kidding.
They're huffing that.
Relate it.
You're crazy. I like you, but you're crazy.
You got to relate it to them. And so I'm going to meet somebody who's been through this change before, relate it to that change so they can say, oh, yeah, that was good for our business. I understand. For each group, we got to tie it back to something they can relate to. Remember when the internet happened? Right?
Yes.
I remember when the internet happened because that happened, right? All the people our age lived that. It wasn't always internet.
When you have these one-on-ones, you're going to start asking what they can improve. And then as a team, especially with the working genius, the team decide which ones should be attacked first. So then it's not Tony saying, this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3. It's how do we all feel about what we should automate? Then culturally, you agree on it, and then you put the team together based on their working genius, you execute, and then you celebrate, right? And then you do it again and do it again. So then you get into this organized team decision empowerment, and CI environment. And I don't see that ever stopping.
A few moments later.
So, hey, welcome, Owen.
Thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate it.
Owen and I have been working together on some EOS implementation, some business consulting, leadership dev. And maybe, Owen, you could give them a little background about you, your company, and then we can get into some of the one-on-one conversations.
Owen Leamon here. Give a little bit of background. Started Topsis Consulting around 2021, and it's a Salesforce consulting practice. So Salesforce brings us in on these deals. Obviously they have, a huge marketing machine behind them. And so essentially we get brought in on these deals as like a preferred partner to say, hey, we'll co-sell a deal with Salesforce. And our niche is really in the financial services vertical. They call it the fins vertical over at Salesforce. So really what that means is wealth management, insurance, banks, credit unions. Again, started back in 2021. We're at 6 employees now. We just hired another full-time person. So we're at 6 full-time people, open an office. And yeah, Craig's been, honestly very pivotal the past few months, kind of helping us out grow. So,
well, cool. Congratulations. That's a great start.
Thank you. Yeah. No, it's definitely exciting. Thank you.
Hell yeah, it's exciting. 2021, it's just 3 years, a little bit over 3 years into it. And now look how you've grown, man. I love stories like that.
Thank you.
So Owen and I started talking about a year ago. We started talking about, business strategy and goals and rocks, and kind of, you really didn't understand that too much or wasn't exposed to that. And so we had a couple whiteboard sessions and talked through just some normal best businesses practices. And one of the things that we kind of landed on was the one-on-ones, having a rhythm. And Owen, maybe you could tell the story about, when we had that conversation, where your head was, maybe some of the standard feedback of, man, it's going to take a lot of time, but maybe the journey of where it was to where it is now and the impact it's had.
When I first started Topsis, I actually came from an IC role, an individual contributor role. And so, leadership has been part of the growth of Topsis and part of the growth of myself. And so, when Craig started helping me out, how to grow this company, how to be a better leader, one-on-ones was like one of the first things that came up. He was like, hey, you doing one-on-ones, right? And I was like, no, we don't have time for that. And so essentially, probably
we're busy here. I'm growing a company.
Yeah, Craig, Jesus, I got shit to do.
Got work to do.
Exactly. And I just didn't understand the importance of them, giving a space for our employees, for myself to give, them feedback, for them to give me feedback. And really just kind of talk through, what we're seeing in the business, what we're seeing in the role, how do they want to grow? And so essentially, when Craig brought it up to me, I was like, a couple of different things I brought up. I was like, okay, well, quite literally my calendar is booked, basically 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every single day, Monday through Friday. And all the consultants are really busy as well. My main kind of pushback was, hey, listen, I don't think we're going to have time for that. And, he was like, okay, well, at least give me 30 minutes every 2 weeks. We settled on that after some pushback, back and forth. And honestly, the feedback so far in making time for that has really been huge for our employees, and myself. From their perspective, it's a chance for them to say, hey, here's what I'm doing right now. Maybe not even client facing stuff, but hey, here's what I'm going through, professionally, personally. Here's where I want to get to. Hey, I need help with this, whatever it might be. And then from my side, it's a really good chance for me to kind of sit down with them and say, hey, I've seen you do, these, great things over here. Here's some areas to improve, etc.
You think about, like you said it, your calendar is jam-packed, 8 to 5 every day, every week. And even if your employees are just slightly off course, the days and the weeks go by, all of a sudden it's 3 months later, and now you're sideways. And it just gives a chance to stay aligned and help coach.
The feedback I've gotten from the consultants has been, hey, this is an excellent space for me to kind of, again, give feedback, for me to take feedback. And they love it. I was really shocked, honestly. I told Craig this. I was like, I thought they were going to hate it. They're going to be like, oh, and get out of my hair. I just need to work on my, projects, whatever it might be. But the feedback so far has been, hey, this really helps us stay aligned, stay aligned with the business. So it's been really great.
some of the coaching, when you give them the, hey, you're doing good here, I need you to improve here, that feedback loop wasn't in place either until those one-on-ones were happening, correct?
No, yeah. So one of the other things that, Craig, you kind of showed us how to do is we use Jira. I know you guys are a team shop. Craig gives me a hard time for that. But basically in Jira now, we have a board for each of our employees, right? And we kind of have quarterly goals for each of them. They could be things like, hey, I want to work out more. Or it could be more professional, like, hey, I want to get more certifications. Salesforce has like a certification-based thing. And so, just being able to track that, help them get there, be able to say, hey, I see, we haven't moved this ticket in a while. Basically, how can I help you move that across the board? Like, do you need more time? Do you need a couple of days off to go study for that thing? Like, whatever it might be, just helping them kind of progress in their careers, helping them progress, the company forward, obviously as well. It's been really great.
And I can relate. So that's why I love these brothers, because I have been on the client side my entire career. I've had side businesses where I was a 1 or 2 man shop. That doesn't count. I mean, it counts, but it doesn't count, right? Largely when it's been a group atmosphere, I've been on the client side. Now I'm representing clients and helping clients. And sometimes it doesn't go as you think it's going to go. And now I'm kind of wallowing in my own head. To be able to know that they have my back or will coach me up or say, look, I wouldn't have said what you said, or here's how I would have done it differently. I mean, we're all here to help each other grow. But just even a 10-minute phone conversation at the end of a day over a bourbon or whatever the case might be, I can hang up that phone. All of it now I feel cleansed again. I feel refreshed. I don't feel alone. And it's just amazing how, the importance of having those types of conversations and one-on-ones, what it does for you personally and professionally.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Well, and as a leader, Owen, I just laughed when you were talking about all alone off doing their thing. But, first rule of holes, stop digging. But the person digging the hole never sees it, right? And so when you have that check-in, you could say, hey, shall we
go down the right path?
Yeah. Think about our significant others. Like,
right.
Sometimes they just need to vent. They want you to listen, and you start to weigh in. It's like, will you shut up a minute? I just need someone to hear me.
Yeah. It's not
yes, dear. Yeah.
It's got to get rid of that head trash, right? I mean,
head trash.
The one-on-ones, because like, Owen, in your case, if you didn't talk to the guys, you're like, oh man, they're messing up here. They're messing up here. They're messing up here. And then you start thinking, where else they messing up? Where else they messing up? But on that one-on-one, you got, because it's waste. It's like a waste of mental, right? Space, time, effort, and all that stuff. So you just get to clear the head. And then you get to coach them up. I mean, the one cool thing you started doing was trying to empower them with what would they do, right? Owen, instead of giving them the answers, maybe talk a little bit to that.
Again, kind of being in an IC role and then moving to this role, like a lot of learning experience. I would say one of the biggest shifts in my mindset was like that Craig, that what he's talking about, like where he helped me was, besides just being the go-to source and being the answer essentially for all the problems, being able to say, hey, okay, well, what would you do? And even if it's something that, if it's not like a detrimental thing to our company, maybe just letting them roll with that, even if I don't think it's the absolute best thing that could happen, right? Obviously, there's times where it could not be good at all for the company or for them personally. So I'm like, yeah, let's not do that. But, just giving them that power to say, hey, I think this is the path we should go down. And as long as it's, directionally correct, a lot of times they are correct. Just giving them the space to actually say it out loud and get confident in themselves that, oh, I actually do know I know the answer here. And then now we're working towards, okay, well, if you don't have, maybe one solution you think's best here, give me like the 3 options you like see, and then we can kind of talk through, what I would recommend, or you can tell me what you would recommend out of those 3.
I love that, Owen. One of the things in a similar process, I had a guy, he because I would say, well, okay, that's okay, but what about, and he said, Tom, What if you say to them, well, that sounds interesting. What else did you consider?
Yeah.
Right? Still not giving you the answer, still not telling you what I would do, because they're going to capitulate to whatever you would do as a leader every time. But getting in that exchange where they're offering up their thought process, because that helps you understand them better.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it like that. It does help me kind of understand like their line of thinking, and it really like allows me like, so when they say certain things now going forward, I'm like, okay, that's what you mean by that. You don't actually mean it like this, which the way I would maybe think about it. So yeah.
No, and Owen, I like what you said about. I mean, you don't want your team going off a cliff. But what I kind of heard in there, and if I'm putting words in your mouth, slap me back. But I think I like battle scars. Like, you learn from your mistakes. Now, you don't want to repeat those mistakes necessarily, but I think it's okay, and I think it's important that well, what would you do, right? You come in the form of a question, and you might know, all right, it's not exactly what I would do, but it's not going to go off a cliff. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, now they're all the stronger for you. You have to fall down to grow in some cases.
And that's a golden nugget that we shouldn't swipe over, and we should emphasize that if they come with you a good solution and it's directionally correct, don't improve it at all, right? Because that ownership transfer goes down and the success factor goes down significantly, because they have total ownership at that point, which is they got 100% ownership. It's theirs. And now if you give them, add this to this, even if it's a 5% improvement, it goes down like 50% ownership, because now you injected into their idea, and then the success rate goes down.
One of the things that, Craig, I think you've helped me with a lot in that question, maybe like inadvertently, probably you meant to do so, but as we scale a company, I feel like giving people the ability to make their own decisions is going to be pivotal, because I'll just be the choke point to everything if I don't, give our employees the option to make decisions, to think through things, process things for themselves.
And the value of your company will be diminished if you're so pivotal, right? Your company needs to run without you.
My past career, I reported to an Owen. I love what you're saying, because so my boss, if I had an idea and it was directionally correct, if he would weigh in, okay, I got my marching orders. If he's like, hey, sounds good, kick ass, see how I leave that meeting. So when you say 50% deflation, Craig, that's real. I mean, I lived it, and it's okay. My boss has my back. He or she trusts me, versus, okay, he had some good ideas, but really what he wants me to do is this. I still execute, but it's a different level of adrenaline when I leave that room.
It's pretty even at the moment. Kashane trying to find a way through. Can the Jamaican do it?
So, Owen, circling back to the retrospective. So, you've been doing those for a while. Any updates or feedback or thoughts around those?
Every morning we do 30 minutes. We just kind of go through all the projects. We go through our Jira board and make sure that, hey, who's blocked on things? What questions do we have? Just making sure everyone's kind of clear on the day. And then on our Fridays, we do our retrospective, and we kind of say, sometimes we have to expedite it. So we just say, personal, professional wins, personal, professional, misses, and then just kind of give me like a 2-sentence or on how we feel about the week, and, how we feel about next week and kind of the, next few weeks or whatever it might be. It helps with the camaraderie of the company, people saying, oh, personal win this week, I went to a concert, right? And then we get to ask about, okay, well, what concert did you go to? And the misses, I think, are a really good opportunity for everyone to kind of see, okay, well, starting with myself, okay, well, what could I have done better as a leader here? What didn't I do that, didn't help you guys or didn't help the company move forward this week? Being able to talk it out as a company during those, it really helps everyone grow together.
And starting the meetings out with the wins, we had some mental challenge about that too, didn't we, Owen? Of the personal professional best.
Yeah. What was it? I forget what I was. I'm sure I pushed back on something.
It was like what
time?
Yeah, time. Again, why are we going to discuss wins personally? And we're at work, right? And it's just getting that positive mindset and it sets the tone for the meeting. It's weird. I stole it from EOS, but it just totally sets the tone. I think there's been some positive.
100%. Yeah, no, people love just like, it's not like chatting it up. We're not wasting time, but it's very much like hey, like, let's all be happy here. Like, especially on a Friday, it's like, hey, let's just close the week out on a, high note about what do we love this week? What do we do well? Person and profession. I think it kind of builds camaraderie between all of us.
It relaxes the brain, especially if we know that there's a couple topics that are going to be uncomfortable. We're starting with about, the Mets game or fantasy football or what you've done at home. Like, to me, it just relaxes the room a bit and helps reinforce that safe space that we're in.
And it builds the community. You're saying camaraderie, but at the end of the day, particularly in the IT field, Owen, as a growing business, you're going to learn this. But it's got to be about more than money, because your consultants are going to be valuable and there's going to be recruiters after them all the time. And so you get them however you get them, but you keep them by building that camaraderie and community within your company. And that approach is a good one.
Yeah, it makes them think twice, because especially when you think of like Nigel Frank. Whoops, I said their name. They're kings of sniping employees. Now, everybody has a number, and sometimes that number gets you to move. But if they like Owen, they think Owen has their back, it goes a long way toward retention.
Yeah, they're having fun. They're fulfilled.
They feel valued beyond money.
Yeah, culture eats strategy for lunch every day, right?
And I think as you continue to grow, I think it'll become clear that you find yourself, you're not in the integration or application consulting business. You're in the people business that happen to do Salesforce implementation consulting.
100%.
And as a leader, one of the things that's worked out really nicely for me, and I would just share with you, and I took this right out of Lou Holtz's deal, but look, if you get a really hotshot person that's looking to move and you probably won't keep them, but you encourage them. Look, I want to make you a leader in your own practice, or whatever their goal is. If you just shoot straight with me, I'll give you the best experience or the best reference or whatever, right? We're going to be together for a time. You're going to leave, but as long as we're clean on when you're leaving, that could be good for everybody.
And they will if they trust you. And if you've built up that trust, back to the origins of getting that one-on-one and that personal professional best, right? I don't want a 2-week notice from my rock star employee that has a lot of responsibility. I would love a 90-day notice. And I think you get that when you have that trust and open conversation.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. For Topsis and for myself, Craig, it's honestly, I was thinking about it this morning, kind of knowing that I was going to do this. It's been extremely pivotal to, work with you guys personally and professionally to the growth of this company. So just thank you and kind of, for giving me like these nuggets of, hey, let's do one-on-ones. Hey, let's start, EOS and kind of, start walking down that path. Thank you.
Owen, thanks again for joining us. Just great to hear about how this has been impactful in a positive way for you, both personally and professionally.
Yeah.
Until next time, thanks.
Hey, take care.
See ya.
So I'm getting a sense of.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to tee you up, Tom. But we're in this cloud space now, and you're going to get updates from the vendor.
I love that.
Provider vendor. But
good news, the economy's actually pretty good. Anybody who takes a clear-eyed look at the North American economy, frankly, but U.S. economy, if you want a job, you can get a job. If you can stay sober and pass a drug test long enough and show up, you can get a job.
Well,
what?
So,
hey, Owen, though, I got a joke for you. You know the difference between a used car salesman and a software salesman?
No, what do you got?
The car salesman knows he's lying.
Cut that one out, Tony.
Yeah, I don't know if my clients are going to love that.
Edit that out.
Tom,
It's true. They don't need the lies.